All right, you got Procreate. Now what? So let's go ahead and just get a real quick overview so you can get started drawing without knowing all the details. So go ahead and open the app, and it's going to open to these example pieces, and you can do whatever you want with them. Let's go ahead really quickly. This is called your gallery, and I'm just going to show you how you can make a stack really quick. So you can tap select and tap all of the ones that you want to stack together, and then tap stack. You can also choose these other things. Be careful not to delete. We're going to stack and then tap the little X, and now you have a stack and it's kind of set aside. You can tap this and call it something, examples, and then just leave it there. Now everything you create is just going to get piled up in this gallery, and you're going to need to figure out ways to back it up off, iCloud or whatever you want to do. So tap the plus sign to create a new canvas. You're going to see these defaults, and I never use these. They're usually not the resolution that I want or the size. So you can tap the plus sign here to create a new canvas, and then go to the dimensions that you're familiar with. I do inches, and I'm just going to create a 10 inches by 10 inches canvas with height at 300 dpi. 300 dpi is considered high resolution, and you can get really great prints. Now with this is a pixel program. You can't take a 10-inch canvas and create a 50-inch print, right? So you can't do upscaling like that. So think about your canvas size if you do plan on printing. You're going to want to create it that size that you want to print or a little bit bigger. But this is a great size for Instagram and things like that, making repeat patterns. I usually do 10 or 12 inches. These three things are going to determine how many layers that you have in combination with how much RAM you have on your iPad. Not storage, but RAM. So if you have a regular iPad, it's going to have less. Then there's the iPad Airs that'll have a little more, and the iPad Pros that'll have a little more. It's not quite that straightforward, but that's essentially what is going on. So you'll have more layers with the higher end iPads. Tap Create, and you've created your canvas. You can pinch and move it, and you can tap Gallery to go back to where we just were, and now you see it right here, so you can title it. Whatever you want to title it. I usually don't do that, but it is a good idea to do that. I just wrote first because it's your first canvas. Now I want to show you really quick what happens when you tap your plus sign again. That canvas is listed in the bottom of your list now, and you can drag it around and reorder it and keep your favorite ones up at the top. And now you don't have to tap that plus sign every time. You can just tap that one right there. If you want to delete a canvas, you can swipe, and I believe you can, you can edit the name of a canvas right there by tapping that right there. And we'll just say test, and now you can see it's named right there. I believe you can delete most of these. I don't think you can delete the screen size one here. So as you have different types of canvases that you want to create, they will end up in that list. One more thing really quick you should know when you're creating a canvas is to set the color profile. Yours will probably default to display P3. I choose this one for everything. You're going to need to do some research to see what you want to do. It is a little bit old school to think that everything you're going to print needs to be in CMYK. Printers are getting much better about printing in RGB. So, but the display P3, my understanding is that it's super vibrant for Apple products, but I don't know that for sure. But it's for kind of definitely viewing on screen like most sRGB profiles are. But this one is, for example, the one that Spoonflower uses, which is a print-on-demand fabric site. So definitely check out these other settings, but just for now, we're doing some really basics to get you up and running and drawing. So now you have your canvas. Here you have your brushes. This is where you're going to be able to choose all sorts of different preset brushes. These all come with Procreate and they are fantastic. And you can do a lot with these. Don't feel the need to go out and buy any. I give away free brushes in all my Skillshare classes, and I also give away free brushes in my newsletters. So, and I teach in my Skillshare classes how to make brushes. So you can definitely have lots of fun when you tap on a brush, opening up the Brush Studio and learning about the different settings. And then this is your smudge tool. Your smudge tool is all the same brushes, and you can smudge with the texture and style of brush that you want to smudge with. And the same with the eraser, all the same textures and types of brushes for erasing. This is your layer panel, and you can add layers right here. And layers work with just kind of like you think. This is underneath, and then anything you draw on a layer above that is going to cover what's under it, and so on. This is your background color. You can tap it and choose a different color. And this is your palette. Let me go to a brighter color so you can see. This is your color picker here. So there's a few things you can do with your color picker. If you want to drag from that bar and bring it out here, you can do that. Tap the X to close that. There's a lot of gestures in Procreate, so you can pinch open to get to that view. You can choose classic, harmony. Harmony lets you choose some different options here. Value, you might be familiar with if you do Photoshop and things. And then this is a list of palettes that can be added to. You can delete from here. The one with the check mark is the one that is set as a default palette. So when you come back over to here, it is going to be here. So you can select the default by tapping here, or you can just tap on one of the colors, and then that is your default here. The history is not on all iPads, but that is a little bit of history of the previous colors that you've recently been using. And also in the palettes, when you import palettes, they're going to go to the bottom of the list. When you import brush sets, they're going to go to the top of the list. You can also create brush sets. And I think when you import individual brushes, a imported category will show up, and it might be down at the bottom. Let's see, what's a favorite brush? I like to go to painting. Nico Rule is a favorite brush for a lot of people, including myself. And let's just go to Salamanca here. So the Apple Pencil is pressure sensitive, so you can press really lightly or hard, and you can get totally different looks. Now with smudging, you can tap and hold on the smudge tool so it selects the same brush. Change the size over here and the opacity over here for your brushes and erasers and smudges. And then you can smudge things around. Let's say you had a couple colors on the same layer and you want to smudge them around a little bit. Now it looks like you're smudging this pink, but it is just exposing the pink underneath. The only things that are smudging are the things that are on the same layer. So if you had something on a separate layer, let's put some black under there, and you were up here on this white and orange layer, you cannot do anything to the black. It's just under there, not getting smudged around at all because it's on a separate layer. You can select that layer if you want to smudge that black. And you can also merge layers by pinching them together or tapping. You get all these other options, and one of them is to merge down, so it'll merge with the layer below it. So there's a whole bunch of settings that we won't be going through, and I have a beginner class on Skillshare that goes through all of it. So definitely check that out, and you can get a free 1-month trial with my link below. Over here, remember gallery goes back to the gallery page, but over here you have a whole bunch of other settings. One that you might want is this. So we're in the prefs. You can tap light interface and you can have this lighter interface while you're drawing. Sometimes I like it to be dark when it's darker in the room around me. So I kind of go back and forth to different ones. You can change to have your tools here switch to the other side. You can also grab this whole thing and slide it up and let it go and get that to a spot where you really enjoy having it. This is set to be a color picker right now, so you can drag it around and you can pick a color on the screen, and then your color over here has that color selected and you can use it. Let's go into the wrench tool really quick. For add, this is where you can add a photo. If you go to Canvas and you go to reference, you can add a reference photo in a separate little window. Drawing guide, if you turn drawing guide on, you'll be able to edit drawing guide and find all the symmetry tools and such. Definitely check those out. This is how you can share. I just share like a JPEG to my camera roll, and then from there I post on social media. Everything is going to be automatically set to have a time-lapse recording of what you do, and that takes up storage. So it makes the file size bigger. If you do not want to have bigger file sizes, if you don't have a lot of storage on your iPad, you can go in and purge that and keep it turned off. But you can also export these. They're really fun to watch. You can just watch it, but you can export too. And then back to prefs, the biggest one that you need to know about besides the light interface and the right hand interface is this pressure and smoothing. Now yours is going to be set to this straight line right here. You don't need to do too much with this part right now, but if you add some dots onto here and get a bit of a curve like this, you're not going to have to press as hard. Oops, you can delete those nodes too if you tap on them. So something like that, and then you won't have to press as hard. This will apply to all of your brushes. If you want to erase something, I can tap and hold, or I can just tap and select any brush, and I can go through and erase using that same brush or any other brush, or I can tap and clear the whole layer. Over here in the layers here, you can tap on the N and you have all these different blend modes to choose from. That will apply to your whole layer, and you can change the opacity of the layer. Some of the gestures that are important are 2-finger tap to undo. So I'm just undoing several of the steps that I just did. You can also undo and redo right here. 3-finger tap is redo. 2-finger tap is undo. Moving things around like this, doing a quick pinch makes it kind of pop back up to fill the screen. Another important gesture is 3-finger swipe down. Pops up this menu, invaluable. Definitely use that. And one that I have a hard time with is 3-finger scrub to erase. There, we did it. I did it on the first try. I usually just erase right here. All right, I'm going to quickly talk about my very favorite brushes. So in sketching, hands down, HB, 6B, and Artist Crayon. Artist Crayon is a really heavy texture. Wonderful, wonderful brush. In the inking section, dry ink is, you just can't beat it. It's fabulous. Drawing, Blackburn is really fun to experiment with, using little pressure and harder pressure. In painting, Nico Rule is definitely a favorite for a lot of people. I also love most of these other brushes, actually. In artistic, Lara Puna. You can get some really fun effects with Lara Puna, pressing lightly versus tapping versus pressing hard. You can even go from dark to light pressure to get some smudging, even though you're not on the smudge tool. And then also the Hearts brush is another favorite of mine, but I like texture. And calligraphy, you're going to want to definitely know that the monoline brush is there. The monoline brush is not set in a default mode to actually be monoline. If you tap on it and go to taper, there's a taper set on it. I would go through and put everything at the ends. So push everything to the ends. This is for when you touch and draw. And this is for your pencil. And then now it's truly monoline. Tap done when you're done. Otherwise, you're going to have a little taper at the end. So that's it. I love all the charcoal brushes, but those are my very favorite brushes. Definitely just experiment. Here's a willow charcoal. You can press really lightly, press more firmly. And that's the benefit of having the Apple Pencil, is the pressure sensitivity. So definitely try to invest in one of these if you don't already have one. My website is linked below, Layla and Poe Studio. If you go to the newsletter section, you can find a place to sign up for my newsletters where you'll have access to a lot of freebies that you've already missed and any new freebies that come later. But there's also some Procreate brushes all ready for you to download, and definitely have fun getting those. These are some of my faves. Definitely use my link below for a 1-month free trial to Skillshare, and I have about 40 classes on Skillshare, and they're all in Procreate. I hope that was helpful in getting started, just starting to draw, and definitely take some classes and you will be on your way to making whatever you want.